Hello and welcome to the News at 7, where we get to the heart of the day's stories and communities right across Scotland. Tonight, would you be prepared to pay more council tax to improve services where you live? Some councils are considering increases of up to 10%. How happy are you with your local services?
Well, I think they're getting enough out of us at the moment. You know, for what we're getting anyway.
We'll look at what's being proposed and find out what it could mean for all of us. Also tonight, a Glasgow auction house says it will no longer sell Nazi memorabilia, having defended its decision to do so earlier in the day. We speak to an academic from Aberdeen University to get his reaction. And we meet the female refugee and asylum seekers who are learning DIY to help settle into Scottish life.
And I'll be live from Celtic Park for tonight's sport, where there's a huge game in the Champions League. Celtic hosting Bayern Munich.
Hello, I'm Sarah McMullen. Welcome to the News at 7. Hello, good evening. Energy bills have risen, food costs have gone up, and now it looks likely that our council tax could rise too. Rates have been frozen for much of the last 20 years, and many homes are still assigned to what they would have been worth in the early 90s. Local authorities collect our bins, provide housing and run our libraries and sports centres, all essential services for our standard of living. But across the country, councils face huge financial pressure. So the prospect of us paying more is on the cards. But by how much, and what does it mean for people already struggling? We'll dig into all of that for you in just a moment. But first, we gauge the reaction on the streets of Dalkeith in Edinburgh.
I think they're getting enough out of us at the moment. You know, for what we're getting anyway.
We're paying too much. The more we're paying now, the less the council's doing for us.
Everywhere you go, the libraries and things are shutting down. The schools are run down and dirty. Lockers don't work. So yeah, I think the money's obviously been spent somewhere else, not on the stuff that matter.
I actually believe that we should pay more for services. So, I'm actually, if you don't pay for services, then you don't get the services.
If you didn't have libraries, we wouldn't have book bugs. We wouldn't have access to reading and swimming pools. It's all the essential skills you need.
Libraries, of course, it is said that readers are leaders. So I believe that things like that should be invested in. If it means paying more higher taxes to make sure that those things are in proper perspectives, so be it. That'll be fine.
So, which councils have already decided on increases and how widespread could they be? Our political correspondent Phil Sim has some more detail for you.
Councils deliver many of the most vital services in our communities, from schools to social care to roads, housing, libraries and sports centres. But they've been under increasing pressure in recent years due to rising demand for those services, in particular social care with our ageing population. There have been other issues around inflation and pay deals too. Councils have actually welcomed the budget settlement they got from the Scottish Government this year. They got a bit of extra money, but due to those long-term pressures, there are many still looking to fill gaps of millions of pounds this year, and that is what has led to this talk of big increases in council tax. That's an option that councils have. That's something they can do now due to the end of the council tax freeze. There's no cap on the rises they can put on rates. They have a free hand, and the final decisions are still to be made later in this month and into March. But we have seen already Scottish Borders Council has agreed a draft 10% increase in council tax rates, and similar proposals are being looked at across the country, from East Lothian to Fife to Shetland. Some councils are looking further ahead too. In Perth and Kinross, they're talking about a 10% rise this year, 10% next year, and then 6% the year after that. The idea being that if you have more certainty in your long-term planning, you can work better going into the longer term. And councils are looking at other avenues too. Almost all of them have made cuts to services, almost all of them have dipped into their reserves, and some are looking at other measures like tourist taxes, like new powers they have to increase council tax on second homes. But ultimately they are all talking about council tax rises on top of all these other things too. And if these big new rises become the new normal every year, it could make the case for the kind of reforms to council tax that have long been talked about here at Holyrood, but thus far have never been delivered.
Our correspondent Phil Sim reporting there. Well, lots of you have got in touch with us on the BBC News website. It is an issue which affects all of us. Here are some of your comments. I don't mind paying extra if it benefits the area. However, many know that councils don't know how to manage the funds and will spend it on clearing their own shortfall and keeping unions happy. That's from Rav. Elsewhere, guess what? Council taxpayers are short of money too. Vic sent that comment in. And either abolish it and add a percentage to income tax or make it a local income tax, which would catch out all those that don't contribute. Those are the thoughts of Ron. Well, what are your thoughts on council tax? Is it value for money? We would like to hear your story. Our email address is news7@bbc.co.uk. Well, thank you for joining us on tonight's News at 7. There's some more to come for you, including the doggy auditions for a starring role in the Glasgow Comedy Festival.
It's been all about high pressure this week. Now, is it going to last into the weekend? Join me towards the end of the programme for a full weather forecast.
Now, a Scottish auctioneer has said it will no longer include Nazi artefacts in future auctions. Earlier today, McTears held a sale which included swastika bunting, a Third Reich military medal and an SS dagger. In a statement, they say they will now cease inclusion of Nazi items from future sales and will receive no income and fees from today's sale. Suzanne Allen has this story.
Third Reich, the paper bunting, we can open this at £50.
Just after 10 o'clock this morning, McTears in Glasgow began a sale of militaria. The auction contained 11 artefacts of Nazi memorabilia, including swastika bunting, a Third Reich military medal and an SS dagger.
300 and selling.
It's not illegal to sell Nazi relics, but it's been criticised.
It is absolutely disgraceful that these items can be bought by just anybody. It is impossible to overstate the visceral response that most Jewish people will have at the sight of these items. And to put them on general sale is just disgraceful. They should not be hidden away. That is not our suggestion, but they belong in the hands of responsible institutions who know how to exhibit them properly and sensitively.
Silver plates said to have been taken from the dining car of Luftwaffe Chief Hermann Göring's private train were included in the collection.
£100, fair warning, hammer's coming down.
McTears don't just deal with militaria. They auction art, jewellery, coins and whisky. After today, Nazi items will no longer be sold. In a statement, McTears said, "We fully understand the sensitivity surrounding the sale of these particular historical items and have now taken the decision to cease the inclusion of Nazi and SS artefacts in future auctions. With regard to the items sold in today's militaria sale, McTears will receive no income in fees." The Nazi artefacts fetched more than £1,600. Suzanne Allen reporting, Scotland, Glasgow.
Well, just before we came on air, I spoke to Thomas Weber, a German-born history professor from Aberdeen University. And he says the sale of Nazi material through auction can help protect important artefacts, but it is a complex issue.
It's a difficult ethical question because, I mean, of course, on the one hand, we don't want people to make profit of this kind of thing. And this is why I've just said, in a perfect world, we would want people to donate those kind of materials. But we also have got to bear in mind where they come from. I mean, maybe they come from families that of people who do not have a lot of money and who have these materials and who say, well, we do want to make sure that they're not being lost, but we also have to pay university fees for our children or something of this kind. So it's not necessarily greedy people who want to make a big profit. And we also have to think about the alternative. If we basically just say, well, all of this shouldn't happen, what is the alternative? The alternative is that people either just throw this material out when they find it because they're kind of too embarrassed, or they sell them through dark channels.
Professor Weber, you study items like this often in your work. Can you just set out a bit about what they help you do?
Of course, I, a historian, I particularly like to get hold of documents rather than on artifacts, because they often allow us to understand the inner lives of radicals, of extremists, and which we still don't really understand that well. And what quite often happens is that initially they're bought by private collectors, but they build up huge collection and then at some point either donate them to institutions or maybe they sell them. For instance, I mean, I've just helped to facilitate the acquisition of the largest collection of this kind that was in private hand to the Hoover Institution at Stanford, where I'm a visiting fellow. As a result of that, we all now will have access to 7,000 folders of material, hundreds of hours of recording and artifacts. And if this collection simply wouldn't exist were it not for auctions of this kind, and then this material would actually not couldn't be used for research about extremism and about Holocaust remembrance.
Professor Thomas Faber talking to us a little earlier. OK, well, let's get a roundup of the stories making the BBC News app here in Scotland. Aberdeen City Council is using an enforcement service to fine people in a bid to stop dog fouling and littering. City wardens will be able to hand out on-the-spot fines. Elsewhere, the Scottish Avalanche Information Service says a lack of snow has resulted in one of the most unusual winters in almost 40 years. They've only gathered details on just over 20 since December. A family-run hotel and wedding venue near Dumfries is still without phones and Wi-Fi after Storm Eowyn. Maybe House Hotel say they're losing potential business. And the new look for Jenner's department store has been released. It closed in 2020 and later suffered a fire in which one man died. Well, for more information on all of these stories, you can scan the QR code, which you can see on the screen here now, and it will take you to the BBC Scotland News app, where there's more for you, including rugby star Mike Tyndall's latest venture as the guest editor of the Beano. There you go. Now, a group of female refugees and asylum seekers in Glasgow are being taught basic DIY skills by tradeswomen in a pioneering project. Many of them have fled war, gender-based violence and human trafficking. The workshops are teaching them life skills like putting up shelves and building furniture. Fiona Stalker has this report.
A little bit more.
Smiling faces. Another DIY skill nailed down. But beneath the surface, some unimaginable experiences.
Yeah, so hard and then no easy. I am from Ethiopia. I go to Sudan. From Sudan and Libya. Libya is Italy, and then here. So hard, no easy. Yeah, a lot of people's lives, a lot of people is die, a lot of no leg, no back, just hard. Sometimes so hard. I don't know. Me too. Like dream. Sometimes I am maybe sleeping. I dream this one. Yes.
My name is Sekina. I'm from Sudan. Been here. My family's husband, my daughter. My daughter is 7 years. Yeah.
Are you going to teach her how to build things?
Yeah.
Yes. Some of the women that we work with have been sort of travelling through many different countries to get here, through long, difficult journeys. You see a lot of stuff in the news about small boats. We've definitely had women who've experienced of that, and it's, I can tell you, horrific.
Women who've escaped conflict and gender-based violence are often given emergency accommodation. It's basic. But this project will give them skills, meaning they can change that for themselves.
Right now we're learning about different wall fixings in their homes. They might have masonry brick walls, or we've got the plasterboard walls as well.
Samira is now using what she's learned to teach others here. And the women's confidence keeps building.
I think they're going to be my boss one day. Listen, they teach me. I'm not teaching them.
Normally, this kind of work is for men. Is assumed is for men. And when we wanted to do in our house, we needed to request a help for a man. This time, we are learning how to do this, and we will do ourselves in our house and support other women how to do it. And we will live in a beautiful house.
The only sound that drowns out the noise of the power tools here is laughter. Fiona Stalker.
Fiona Stalker there with that report. Well, joining us now is Evie Smith, who works for social enterprise Milk, which supports women from a migrant background. Evie, thank you so much for being in the studio with us tonight. Your work is very similar to this, so tell us, how important are initiatives like this and what do they do for the people involved with them?
Yeah, things like these are absolutely invaluable. So the community that we work with, Milk, as you say, is mainly people who have experience of the asylum system, so they're either going through it or they're refugees. A lot of these women, they're single, maybe they've got kids. They often get put up in housing, even when it's permanent, that is completely inadequate and completely unsuitable. The ability to be able to do practical things, to take ownership, to become more independent, you really can't put a price on it. It's really, really important.
And so, like you say, these are practical skills, and we just seen it DIY there. I mean, I could probably come and take one of those classes myself. But what other practical skills do you help people with?
So we are a full-time community space, and everything that we do, we have a full timetable of events, workshops, classes. A lot of it is ESOL support, digital inclusion, and then in terms of practical stuff, quite often it's as simple as making a phone call for someone, helping with a form. When English is your, second, third, fourth, fifth language, there's obviously a barrier there. A lot of these things, red tape, administration, it's hard for anyone to navigate, even when it's your own native language. So yeah, honestly, the list of practical support is endless, and we're really lucky in Govan Hill in particular, in the south side. There are so many organisations and charities and social enterprises that are there doing work that's so important. When our public services are so stretched, we're doing our best to sort of plug some of the gaps, but there's a lot more that can be done.
And Evie, like you say, a lot of important work there going on in terms of helping people practically. But what does this do for the women taking part socially, I suppose? Does it help build a network for them?
Hugely, yeah. I think we always know with these kind of things that they're going to be popular, they're going to be well attended, and people are going to get a lot out of them. But it's always a surprise just how much that's the case. So I think with this in particular, with the Trades Collective, we wanted to do it for we were able to afford it for about 3 weeks. And we had a group of, I think, 3 or 4 women interested at the beginning. By the last week, I don't know how many of them there were. I think they were struggling to fit into the space. And as we saw in the video there, Samira, who was really shy and didn't have any confidence the first week, by week 3, she was doing the teaching herself. Like, she put up shelves in her own house. She's got a wee girl who's 2 years old actually. It's so, so, so important. And then, the connections, the sense of community, the sort of, I've told this person about this, and I came because my sister said this. It's been fantastic.
So how rewarding, I suppose, is it then to see that kind of transformation?
Yeah, I mean, I think the confidence in particular is something that it's hard not to get emotional about it, actually, as sort of twee as that sounds. But it's such a huge thing, if you're a person of any kind, but I think especially, as women, when, we see things like DIY and stuff like that, it can feel quite daunting and you can feel quite excluded from it. So being able to sort of learn those skills, become more independent, and then also to meet other people through it, it's just brilliant.
Okay, absolutely. Evie, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you coming in to talk to us. Now, still to come tonight, we have Weather with Judith, and we'll bring you the winner of a very theatrical talent contest. First though, let's get tonight's sport coming to you. Lewis Irons, who is live for us at Celtic Park. And Lewis, this is a big night of European football ahead for Celtic.
It certainly is, Sarah. Thanks very much. The atmosphere here at Celtic Park is starting to build because it is the first leg of a playoff against the mighty Bayern Munich, who just started to drip out onto the pitch to get warmed up. Their fans were already in fine voice just moments before you got to us. And the stars are coming out as well. Rod Stewart down here pitch side talking to some pundits and players and soaking up the atmosphere. I can bring you the team news immediately though, because Celtic fans will have been keeping a keen eye on this to see what Brendan Rodgers went with. Kasper Schmeichel is back in between the sticks, and that front 3 consists of Dyson, Maeda, Nicholas Kuhn and Adam Ida. So Jota is on the bench. For Bayern Munich, well, take your pick. Look at some of the stars on show here. A few names that jump out though, of course, Harry Kane and fellow Englishman Eric Dyer coming into the team too. So a huge task ahead for Celtic, but if defender Austin Trusty is anything to go by, there's no shortage of belief in the camp.
when we are on it and when we play our game and we have the right mindset and we play as a collective, I would truly back us against anybody. It's the best club competition in the entire world, so when you're given opportunities to play against the best players in the entire world and you can back yourself and you can show yourself and show it to your team, and as a team you can show it to yourselves that we can play here, we're just as good, and we can thrive and we can win games. So I think as a team and individually, it just makes you back yourself more because, more belief, you've shown it to yourself.
Well, Bayern Munich as a name comes with a lot of synonymous things in European football. They're such a big side, but what is their form like coming into this one? Here's the mood in the German media.
Against Barcelona, it was actually that Barcelona were just the better team, the more powerful team. Musiala was still recovering from an injury, so he wasn't in the squad. So Bayern's possession game wasn't on that level that it usually should be. And against other teams, Bayern have a lot of possession. They play a high line. They play a very risky style. And often it works due to the counter press, intensity, suffocating opponents, but sometimes it doesn't work.
Well, the fans are certainly getting excited. They're finding their voice at a kick-off, and the travelling support have been in fine voice all throughout today. Earlier on, we went out and about to speak to a few of them all in town.
We hope Bayern Munich will win, but I hope we will see a goal from Celtic too, to see the atmosphere in the stadium, because it should be the best in Europe.
It's a grand old team to play for.
We're better at home than away, but even recently we've been not too bad away and not too good at home, so I'd hope to have a 1-0 lead.
They have some fast players in the front, which will be tough, but I'm confident we're going to win, no matter who's playing.
As they say in German, kein Wand ist unbewingbar, right? No wall is unclimbable, so we can do it.
Well, the atmosphere is starting to kick off now. That's because the players are going through their paces. And here to look ahead to this in more detail is our sports news correspondent Chris McLaughlin. Chris, what an atmosphere already.
Yes, the Bayern fans welcoming me onto the programme. Look, there's so much, Lewis, made about the atmosphere in this place on European nights, and I've been lucky enough to cover many a Champions League night here, and it absolutely lives up to the hype. The one thing that I have noticed over the years is that when the real big boys come to town, the likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, the Celtic fans seem to find a little bit extra. It will be deafening in here come 8 o'clock. You never feel get the hairs on the back of your neck standing up. The Bayern Munich players won't be intimidated by it, but the Celtic players will really thrive on it.
Certainly, you said the fans will find that extra gear. The players certainly need to do that, don't they, the Celtic players? And a big boost, Daizen Maeda available after that suspension overturned.
Yeah, when you look through that Celtic team, you would say, look, there's no reason why they shouldn't feel confident coming into this. It's a group of players who know each other really well. They know that they can turn it on. They know they will create chances. Look, Daizen Maeda coming in is a big boost because his energy levels, his drive, he's clinical in front of goal as well. So look, Brendan Rodgers believes that Celtic can take something from this game. The players will believe that they can take something from this game. Celtic believe they belong on this stage. They need to prove it on nights like this.
They certainly do. Chris McLaughlin, thank you as always. Well, you can follow all of the action in numerous ways across the BBC. Head to the website to follow the live text. There's radio commentary as well on Sportsound, and there's highlights tonight over on BBC One at 20 to 11 on BBC's Match of the Day Champions League. For now though, here at Celtic Park, it's back to you, Sarah.
Thank you very much, Lewis. Can hear things beginning to heat up there. Thank you. Now, the Glasgow theatre scene has a new star. She has 4 legs, a tail and lots of tricks up her sleeve, apparently. A local theatre group held open auditions today for a talented dog to join the cast of a play called Walking Shadows as part of the Glasgow International Comedy Festival next month. Hazel Martin went along to find out more, and we will reveal the winner after this, don't worry.
I've already cast my humans, which would be 12 humans to take part in it, but actually I need a dog. And today is the dog auditions. I want for a talented and cute dog they can take part in the Walking Shadows. Not a lead part, just a cameo. All they have to do is come on, look cute, which is really helpful, and then do a very small trick They have to do that with one of the actors on stage. They have to be used to the actor and do something that's quite short, but hopefully quite impressive, so the audience are kind of blown away by that. So quite small time on stage, but it'll leave a good impression. Some of the dog owners sent on some of the resumes of the dogs. So some dogs have appeared on stage, some dogs have appeared on television, and there's even one dog who sniffs out explosives. So that's quite an impressive resume.
After I heard about it, I thought she's destined for the States. So here we are. And how do you fancy her chances? What's her big act? Well, she has a sausage dog after all, so she does a sausage roll.
He's going to do a wee spin, but he can only do it clockwise. He's not mastered anti-clockwise yet.
She's been on stage before, she's done Legally Blonde, she's done Annie, she's been on TV, so I just thought, there's another one, let's give it a go.
The cute factor is a big part of it. A dog is going to have a good impact when it comes on, and a wee bit of star quality, and a quiet dog.
What could go wrong, Michael?
A beginning type of wisdom. Exactly, what could go wrong? So never work with children or animals. I do have a child in the cast and one dog, so yeah, I'm playing with fire a little bit, to be honest. It should have a big impact, and the audience will go away probably not so much remembering all its fellow humans, they'll certainly remember the one cameo from the dog.
And we can reveal that the lucky winner is, drumroll please, Roxy, the Border Collie Cross Poodle. She impressed judges with her acting shy routine. And now someone else who loves to act shy.
Could have learned a few things
teed
from
up
Roxy.
too nicely. It's Judith
Ralston. Thank you very much. Well, I'll take you a wee guide through what our weather's been doing today. A lot of grey skies across eastern Scotland. There we are, the Western Isles basking in glorious sunshine, and Shetland, the winner in the Sunshine Stakes for the whole week. Now, let's take a look and see what's happening with our weather. First of all, the pressure chart. We have high pressure out to the east and north of us. That's really been dominating our weather, and it will continue to be the case, challenging any weather fronts coming our way over the next couple of days, taking any energy out of them. Overnight, it's predominantly dry, but that leads us into a chilly old start to Thursday morning, I should say. Plenty of sunshine across western Scotland, I think, first thing, especially across more northern parts. Still that cloud in the east, not the thick cloud we've seen of late. I think we'll see some breaks in the cloud. There'll be a frost, particularly across the West Highlands, up across the northwest as well, where temperatures will be below freezing. Glorious sunshine for the Western Isles and across northern Scotland. Across the Northern Isles, we'll start to see a bit more northeast in the flow, and what that will do is introduce more in the way of cloud as we head through tomorrow, and be a fresh breeze at times, and also the odd shower coming in here eventually during the course of the day. Eastern Scotland seeing the lion's share of the sunshine. So for most of us it will be dry, possibly the odd spot of rain coming out of any thicker clouds in the east, and some of that cloud just moving through the central lowlands. But as I say, I think there will be some brighter spells as well. Temperatures around about what we've been seeing, still feeling on the cold side because we are dominated by that easterly flow coming in off a cold Scandinavia and indeed Russia as well. Then into Friday, one of those weak weather fronts I was talking about just starts to make inroads across the southwest, just introducing thicker cloud. Ahead of it, a freshening southeasterly wind, which could be strong for some of our inner Hebrides. Some spits and spots of rain embedded within that front, and anything that moves inland into the colder air will be wintry over higher ground, but dry further east. I think we should see more in the way of sunshine here in the east, the northeast, Caithness. Northern Isles will be bright with a scattering of light showers, and again, those temperatures pretty much what we've been seeing of late. So here we are, we're pushing in towards the weekend. A lot of dry weather on Saturday, a lot of cloud in the mix as well. Maybe again the odd spot of rain across eastern Scotland. The best of any sunshine sky, the northwest Highlands, and those temperatures pretty much what we've seen all week. That's your forecast.
OK, lovely stuff, Judith. Thank you very much for that. And that's all from us here this evening. We are back at the same time tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.